The engines are malfunctioning. And what's this? Stop all engines, now! Why is this happening? No! We're about to crash!
Well, they just killed my favorite character, so what possible reason would I have to keep playing this?
Wait. There's still a way to change this. If we return to an earlier point in time, we'll be able to save her.
I understand.
Chaos Control!
Silver! I can handle this myself. Besides, you got somewhere to go, right? You! I'll make sure to change Elisa's fate. And that, in turn, should change your future, too. Thank you, Silver.
Yeah, just save her.
Okay, so even though we started in that part of town, we're now here for some reason. Whatever. Anyway, welcome back to Sonic 06. In this video, kind of like the last one, we have to jump through some hoops before we can actually get to the next level. We have to find a way into the Solianan research base, known as just Aquatic Base. And in order to do that, we have to ring all of the bells that are in Soliana. This one is less annoying than the Trials of Soliana, but it's far more arbitrary. Like, why do we need to do this? So there's 3 bell towers. They're all pretty obvious, like, where they are, and thankfully they're the tallest things in Soliana, so you can always find one. I don't mind this. This is when it really reminds me of, like, Isle Delfino. But then again, it also goes to show how much better Isle Delfino is. Has so much more personality, and, you know, there's actually a point to Isle Delfino. You know, I'll chase Bowser Jr. around Isle Delfino for the rocket nozzle any day of the week over, you know, whatever this is. But it's not bad. Again, I don't hate the idea of these town missions. It's just in execution, I don't think there are particularly any ones that are, like, done well. And bada bing. More like bada ring, because you have to ring some bells. So now the game doesn't tell you this, but you just have to do that and then find the level itself. It's not that hard to find, though. It's just right in the middle here. It's like the only area that you haven't been to. So it's not that hard to figure out what you're, you know, supposed to be doing.
The battleship will take off any minute. Tails, Knuckles,
So that last cutscene was basically Sonic traveled back in time. and there was no other establishing cutscene of like, oh yeah, Sonic told Tails and Knuckles to meet him here or something like that. I know it's such a minor thing, but it really shows how disorganized the story feels. And even if, you know, you're like me and can eventually get used to how the game plays, this is still not a good game because, like, the story is just utter nonsense. Like, okay, Eggman and Elise died, fine. Sonic has to go back in time, fine. He needs to have Sonic and Tails in this level. Also, this never works. That Lightspeed dash always makes me go backwards. But you need to have some sort of an establishment of, like, a cutscene, or maybe he meets up with them in Soliana. I don't know. How did Knuckles and Tails know to come here? Whatever. It's such a little minor thing. Aquatic Base is, I think, probably the longest level in the game, at least for Sonic, and it's overly long, it's too complicated, there's too many sections that just don't need to be in here, and yeah, I don't quite like this level. So instead of talking about it, I'm going to attempt to talk about other things, such as I just recently picked up Sonic X on Blu-ray, air quotes Blu-ray, because it's not in high def. I only did that because I just kind of wanted to have it. I know specifically Sonic stuff usually goes up in price because it's, you know, kind of a small audience wants it. Because, like, I have the Sonic the Hedgehog animated, like the OVA, I have that on VHS and and DVD, and those are really expensive now. Same with the 90s show is very expensive now. So I just figured, you know what, I'm going to grab Sonic X on Blu-ray, because it's only going to go up in price as it, you know, goes out of production or whatever. Sonic X, I remember being... Literally, I don't think I was ever more excited for a show to debut than I was for Sonic X when I was a kid. Which is something that I think I've always made pretty well known, that Sonic was probably, like, my first love. It was the first franchise that I was ever, like, really big into. I was a Sonic fan before I was a Star Wars fan, before I was a Mario fan, you know, all these other things that I grew up with. The first game I ever played was Tails and the Music Maker for the Sega Pico. That was the first game I ever played. So I've been a Sonic fan since I was like 3 years old, playing some shitty educational game on the Sega Pico, which is a system that probably no one else has ever even heard of. You know, I had a Game Gear and a Dreamcast. I was the only person that I knew who had either of those things. And ironically, I never had a Genesis or a CD. I always played the original games on, like, the Sega Smash Pack or whatever on PC. But anyway, that was all just to get to Sonic X. I was probably 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old when that show first started coming on. I literally remember the day that came on. I was literally so excited. I was running around my house like Sonic. And then I put it on, and that was like... The first thing you see in that show was Big the Cat. And I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do, like, Sonic Adventure. All the characters look like the Sonic Adventure artwork. And, oh my god, Shadow is he's in the opening theme. You know, the closest thing to, like, a game adaptation that we'd ever gotten to that point was the OVA. You know, just seeing, like, Amy and Knuckles and all those characters that were never in any of the cartoons was, like, huge for me. Getting to see Eggman look like he did in Sonic Adventure. But yeah, I think even immediately I was like, this isn't great. Like, this show is not very good. It was cool seeing all those characters and seeing them all designed like that, but even as a kid, I think I knew that, like, Chris Thorndike was a load of malarkey. I didn't want to see the shitty kid. I don't know who he is. I just want to see Sonic. You know, like the first episode, you see, oh, there's Rouge the Bat. That'll be cool to see how they work her in. So when I was a kid, the only like section of that show that I saw is, I guess, what they call the New World saga, which I guess, hey, they did that before One Piece did. The last episode I remember watching when it was airing was the episode where Sonic finally goes supersonic for the first time, which I think it was like the season finale. Which is funny because I was more excited to see like Sonic Adventure stuff, and that was the very next thing that they did. But yeah, I didn't watch that until they put that on DVD. They put out like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, the adaptations of that, on DVD. And it's just like the animation is bad. Like the characters switch between looking fine and then looking completely off model, like in between scenes. And rewatching it now on Blu-ray, I think I've mellowed out on it a little bit more. I'm enjoying myself quite a lot, actually, watching it. But the thing that immediately stands out to me is the voice acting, which I remember being really upset at when I was a kid. Being like, well, why aren't they don't sound like they do in the games. Why does Sonic sound like this? It's the same cast that's in this game. But Jason Griffith sounds awful as Sonic in the first... I've only watched like the first 8 episodes so far. He sounds like an asshole. Like, it's so weird. I remember him being at least a little bit better than that in the beginning. Yeah, he sounds like a jackass. I don't know what that's about at all. And it's really funny hearing, like, the first 2 episodes, Mike Pollock as Eggman had to do like an evil laugh a couple times, and it was before he did like the high-pitched like ho 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 laugh that he does now, and he just does like a generic evil laugh, and it's really funny because it doesn't sound anything like Eggman at all. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to keep watching just to see if the Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 like adaptation is as like not good as I remember. I know the Japanese version, I wish some company would have the balls to put out a Blu-ray release of the original Japanese version. Because that's, I know, unedited. There's a lot more like kind of adult, not adult themes, but you know, it's not as child-friendly as the American version. And I know they actually use music from the games at some points. So I think that would be cool to actually see. I know those are all on YouTube, and I have watched a couple key episodes of the Japanese version, but, yeah. Sonic X, it's a weird show. I will say, out of all the shows, up until that point, that probably is the best one. And I know that is probably blasphemous to say that Sonic the Hedgehog, the one with, like, the freedom fighters and stuff, that one does not hold up. Just gonna throw that out there. That does not hold up. I mean, the best adaptation of Sonic, full stop, will always be the OVA. I love that OVA. It's so good. And by the way, this part of the level, I really dig this part. Again, this is another one of those things that conceptually, I think this is a really cool level. Like, it's you, Knuckles, and Tails storming Eggman's base. Trying to, get to him before he and Elise die. I think it's a really cool concept. Again, I don't know if it quite works. I think it works better than some of the other, like, cool concepts.
I'll go on ahead.
Lord forgive me for saying this, but I think, like, Sonic running through those areas with the doors closing in and the, like, alarms blaring, I think probably would have worked better as a Mach speed section. So I think it would have been interesting if they could have done that, but I'm also glad at the same time that I don't have to deal with another Mach speed section. But yeah, like, there's that episode where Knuckles fights Sonic, and as a kid I remember that being like, oh my god, it's Knuckles! And he's like, he looks like he does in Sonic Adventure. He's cool. he's, you know, it's Knuckles. He was like my favorite character until Shadow was introduced. Of course, as an adult, I know Eggman's the best character, but that was huge. You know, outside of the OVA, Knuckles had never been in any of these shows. None of the good ones, anyway. I know he was in Sonic Underground, but I never watched that growing up, because even then, even when I was a kid and I had no taste, I knew Sonic Underground looked terrible. So yeah, it was just cool seeing them. But now as an adult, I'm like, yeah, this show's pretty bad, but I'm at least enjoying watching it, if that makes any sense. I don't like it, but I like watching it. So, this is the Sonic X episode of this. I'll keep you posted if I am enjoying the show more. Apparently, the third season, where they actually started developing it, like, for Western audiences in mind, was actually pretty good, so I'm excited to watch that, because I know nothing about that, other than I think they go to space. But we are coming up on the end of this. I would say this is probably the most boring Sonic level in the game. I don't really think there's much to this. There's not really much that I enjoy about this. And, yeah, it's just pretty bland. So, I will see you in the next video, which will be the last video in Sonic's story. So, I'll see you then.